Hi there, this is Jim the Keys bartender coming to you from Key Largo. I'm here with Steve. Hey, Steve, are you there?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Yep.
Oh, I was worried. Uh, I've been having the last couple, well, 2 weeks. I've had or week and a half had a problem with the Windows update,
Yeah.
and it just ruined all my microphones and all that stuff. Right now, I'm speaking you fine. I'm using the same laptop I did before. I have a couple more things to resolve. I had to roll it back and all that stuff. And I tried talking to not that I tried talking to tech people that
Hmm.
handle the app that I use for podcasting, but
Right.
it wasn't really the app's fault because it's the computer. Because once you plug into the
Huh.
jack, and once I plug into the jack, it used to give me the options. What do you want? Do you want a line in, microphone in, headset microphone in? All these options it gives you, and then it didn't do that. No problem. Then I'd have to select it, but it didn't automatically go to microphone when you plugged in to the jack.
Uh-huh.
Only
Huh.
do one thing at a time. It's either for a
Right.
headphone or wouldn't do the microphone, would not activate the microphone setting from the jack, so it wouldn't disable the one on the laptop.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I mess around with this because there's like a million different settings. There's three different settings for sound on the three different settings that for sources and all that on the app, and there's two different settings, a bunch of different settings. There's one for the laptop and uh, some for Windows, and they got to all be in sync, or it just doesn't work. And I haven't quite figured
Oh,
that out yet. Yeah,
yeah.
and it's not intuitive. I I don't know. Maybe if I was using a Apple thing, there's a good commercial for Apple, right? So
Right.
Steve, yeah, I haven't. I've seen you in the neighborhood, but
Right.
we haven't done anything for like 3 months, 4 months.
I know it.
Yeah. Uh, you know what? And we could be almost doing the one if I didn't have the. I wanted to do it in person once over your house over here. You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I had the sound system. I'm still good with the sound system, but then again, I'm having that issue with this, even though we could do this outside.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. We can do the next one over here if you want. Sure.
well, if I got to resolve the microphone
The
enabling.
issue.
I don't.
Yeah.
For some reason, it works for the headset night now, and now I got to be able to pick in just uh, put the audio in from our soundboard. That's
Right.
very boring shit. I'm sorry about that. So um, the last time we spoke, we really didn't. I purposely didn't ask you everything. So it's been a while, and it's mostly my fault because
Yeah.
I was all hung up on my surgery and stuff like that. Every night I'm waiting for a
Yeah.
phone call, waiting for a phone call that could come around 7 o'clock at night.
Hmm.
With all the different what surgical dates I had, and
Right.
yeah, and I mean, it must be boring. It's called middle-aged bartender show. It should be. I'm getting one surgery I had to get done, and it just took forever. And I finally got it done, and actually, even the bandages are almost all gone and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'm back to focusing on other things now. I shouldn't have been. I should have been trying to do this too. I don't know why. It's just hard to do it, Steve, to get like
Yeah.
talk about other things when you got one
Yeah.
thing
When
on
you got
your mind.
like that
Yeah,
going.
yeah. So
Good.
how you been? How was? I see you guys walking
Yeah.
through the neighborhood. I mean, have you?
Yeah. Been trying to exercise a little bit more, and we're doing some walking and running, and just trying to maybe lose a couple pounds here for the new year. So
Yeah,
that's why you've been walking around, I guess.
yeah.
But so
You seen anything interesting?
but everything.
I mean, you're in the Keys, man.
Have we?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always something. There was a shootout on, on our street. Was that yesterday?
Well, it was on Mahogany. It was on Mahogany.
Yeah, behind the pawn shop there.
Yeah, yeah. There was a guy, a young fella. It wasn't. He actually. They thought it was a shootout because they were gonna. Their detective showed up his his RV, and he killed himself. He killed himself right when they knocked on the door when they started, calling it. And so the bullet they see the bullet that he killed himself with, because there was only one bullet fired, went through his head, and it was and through the window next to the door. And I don't want to be graphic, but it was a
Right.
357 Magnum
Right.
he used, because they said he killed himself with a handgun. It was in his hand. Uh, I don't want to say who it is on the thing, but the person that owns that equipment next to the pawn shop.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Okay,
his son.
wow.
It's his son.
Oh. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it wasn't the guy that originally owned it, and they were going to question him about some missing a robbery or theft that occurred, right? I mean, they didn't even get a chance. They were just calling for questions. So
Right.
we talked about, and now when they knocked on the door and then a bullet came through the window, they brought everyone in. They
Right.
brought in the FWC. They brought in the state police. I think immigration and customs, ICE, ICE people. I said FWC. Obviously, Monroe County was the lead on it, and they brought in a tactical unit.
Wow.
And they used I think they used something to enter the RV, and they found the guy there. I knew the guy. He's nice enough fella,
Mm-hmm.
He just was a shy guy, young fella, 28 years old.
Did he come into the catch?
Yeah, he used to come in and catch. And
Yeah.
he didn't have a lot to say, but he always came in. He was always polite. All
Right.
these things, but it's a shame. That was one of those things that was a seminal event for him, I'm sure, because when the detectives knocked on the door, and then he just decided he didn't want to deal with all that, and that's horrible. But there's not you could do. It's not like long term. It's not like long term depression, is it?
Right.
When some people say this person's really depressed, and they don't, they really can't handle it. That's how quickly it can happen, especially in the Keys. And there's a lot of that happens in the Keys. That was a suicide. A couple years ago, there was a murder suicide in the neighborhood. I mean, this is small. This is it was the guy. The brother-in-law killed the. I mean, he put a gun out, and the brother-in-law, they were staying at someone's house, and the husband and wife, right? And the wife's brother came to stay with him, and he had mental health issues, and I guess he had a gun, and while the husband was trying to get the gun away from him or something like that, the guy killed him, and then he killed himself.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and we're not. Yeah, like I said, we're a small town.
Yeah.
We are. I mean, Key Largo itself is a small town, but just in this neighborhood, my neighborhoods are doomed. There's always something crazy going on in the neighborhoods I live in. It wasn't really.
And remember that house.
What?
There was a house that burned down a couple years ago, right
Oh
here.
yeah, Mary, the woman right after Irma. Right after Irma, she was having guys. Yeah. It was all within. Holy crap! That's within 3 blocks. That was 3 blocks, almost. 3 blocks away, and the other one was less than 3 blocks away. So every year, that was a murder. That was a murder.
Right.
because the house burnt down. It was they declared that arson, and that she didn't die. I mean, she didn't
That's
die
right.
by the fire. She died from puncture wounds prior. So,
Right. Ooh. Ye-
so
Yeah.
I told you that guy worked with us, right? One of the guys, one of the suspects.
No.
Never told you that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Oh, this guy works for us, and I don't know if I said his name before. He shouldn't because he hasn't been, so I can't really accuse him of anything. But he was one of the people of interest, right?
Sure.
And everyone knew they were of interest because he was one of the guys that worked for him, and he lived on a boat in Manatee Bay or something like that, and with his cousin, and they were doing work for the lady, and there was some discussion over the money getting paid, and what happened is I guess that there was a disagreement, but they said it ended at that, and then when they started questioning them, they all started giving separate alibis and start pointing the finger at each other.
The other.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's almost like they accidentally came across a brilliant defense, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I talked to the guy, and he was working at our place. He was washing dishes, and I kept on talking to him. And one night, I gave him he had one drink or two drinks. I think he had two drinks, and he was sitting at the bar, and I'm looking at him. And I had asked a friend of mine who was a captain on the Monroe County Sheriff's Department, would any declaration work for this guy if he ever said anything? Would I be able?
Mm-hmm.
Would that be admissible? So I said,
Right.
well, it wouldn't hurt. So on his second drink, I go like this, and I go blah 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 blah. Hey, did you have anything to do? Did you have anything to do with killing that woman, Mary? And I looked at him. I just stopped and looked at him.
He did.
I did. And he stopped and he looked at me and he said, "No, I didn't have anything to do with it." And I go, "Holy shit! Okay, I just right in it. I dropped it out in the middle. I was talking about something, and then I just asked that question.
Right.
And we started talking after that. And I go, "Holy shit! I was just trying to pull a Jedi mind trick on him or something like that. I just gave it a little try."
But he
What?
said no, right?
He said no.
Yeah.
Without a trip. That does not make him innocent.
No.
That certainly doesn't make him guilty either.
That's right.
But if he had said something, then I'd have to
Yeah.
weigh if he's trying to impress me or he wasn't. He realized I wasn't one of the guys that would be impressed by someone being associated with a murder. So he definitely wouldn't probably do that to kind of impress me. And so he didn't make any declaration of guilt. So I didn't do anything.
Right.
So yeah, that happened. And there were, you know what? There's probably been other things around here. So many weird shit that happens down here.
Yeah, it's different down here.
Yeah, it is different. You know, you got people that come in down here. A lot of them have issues. Who's it? One of our friends. You know, Lee Sharp, the musician. You met Lee.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he moved down. He moved down to Key West.
Okay.
He's in Key West. And folks, if we have any listeners in Key West, Lee is working. I think he's working part-time jobs right now, but he's picking up music jobs. But if you ever want to listen to a great keyboard player, Lee Sharp, he's down in your neck of the woods right now, and he be happy to play. I'm gonna try to get him on a show and try to promote him some more down there. Try to talk to a couple of places I know down there. But he moved down there, and he says he's never been to a place where so many people talk to themselves.
Right.
Just walking down the street talking to each other. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we've gotten used to that, though, haven't we? Having fucking people talk to them. Well, I mean, because of headphones and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't know.
Bluetooth and
Yeah,
all-
you could be talking. You could be talking to your virtual assistant.
Right.
You could be leaving a voice message. You know, it's hard to tell. I mean, how do you know? I mean, you tell. you're thinking, well, if a guy is dressed really crazy and looks like they haven't washed their clothes in a while and hasn't bathed in a while, if he's using a headset, he should be aware that people are going to automatically assume he's talking to himself.
Right.
Or you could be a guy in a suit if you look really well put together. You could be talking to yourself, and people just naturally assume he's perfectly fine. Of course,
Yeah.
of course I didn't. Of course I didn't tell her that. You know, a guy walking down the street he's carrying a briefcase, just nothing doing
Right.
anything. His hands are down there. I didn't do that, and he started pointing at people and stuff like that. And the guy's perfectly fine. He's just having an animated conversation, and you don't realize he's going completely nuts. That
Right.
could be the new American Psycho. You know, and people say, well, he's having quite the animated conversation with the person on the phone. And then you go, wait a second, he doesn't have someone on the phone. And you really wouldn't be able to tell
Right.
because of tiny earphones people have now. So, I mean, you see, I mean, they've done it. I've seen it on sitcoms and stuff like that. I told you, I, I mentioned a couple weeks ago about that. A young woman started talking using an earpiece back in like 2000 or 1999, before even people started getting, you know, just 10% of the people had cell phones.
Right.
1999, right?
Uh,
I mean, I had
right.
a phone in a bag in 92, 93.
Right.
Yeah, and so when earphones started showing up, people had to, you know, they were, you know, people that weren't into it. You know, they didn't know. First of all, you don't think the craziest thing is someone when they first came out with those Nokia phones, right? And people picked them up
Right.
and held them to the ear, and they started talking to them. And they go, "That person's talking to the recorder, and they're acting like the recorder's talking to them." You know,
Right.
no, that's a cell phone. So, I guess when you're walking down the street, there's a guy that walks around our neighborhood, and he always has something in his hand. And it's always a stick or this. And Abby and Sky, every time they look at him, they go, "Is that a gun? Is he walking down the street with a gun?" And I said, "You're not allowed to walk down the street with a gun in Florida." I can most assure you that the guy always walks down the street and it looks like he's carrying a gun. He's probably not carrying a gun.
Right.
Because he would have been, even in this, he would have been arrested.
Yeah.
You know, because the guy's been doing that for a year. It's some kind of stick or something he has. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's got to be. We don't have that. At least we don't have that in Florida. Florida's pretty crazy. We got a crazy governor and all that stuff. But we don't have that. We do have concealed carry, where so many people have concealed carry down here in the Keys. We mentioned about this before, that, like I said, the person that's going to kill you is your someone you know.
Yeah.
You know, the likelihood of someone showing up and killing you around here as strangers, that should be like, that would be a great, maybe that would be like a really good ad for the Florida Keys.
Yeah.
When they show the people on their paddle boards and stuff like that,
Right.
and they show the mangroves and the fish and all that
You
stuff.
won't get.
Yeah. What would it be?
You won't get shot here.
No. Come to the Florida Keys. If you get killed down here, it's probably someone you already know.
Yeah. There you go.
Or come to the Florida Keys. If you're murdered down here, you probably came on vacation with them.
Right. They're probably in your traveling party.
Yeah. So don't worry. Come to the Florida Keys. A stranger's not going to murder you. Something like it's kind of inviting. There's a very small chance you're less likely you're more likely to be murdered by your spouse than eaten by a shark. The Florida Keys. How's that?
Yeah. It's a winner.
Yeah. You're not going to die on the water this year. You enjoy the beautiful sunset of the Keys if your spouse doesn't murder you.
Right.
Yeah, that's almost any place, I guess. But I think what happens, it probably happens a lot in Hawaii. You always hear those stories. Really good stories on the murder, the 24. Is it called 40? No, 48. You ever see
48
it?
hour? First 48 or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they say, well, if you don't catch, it's like the police say, if you don't catch him in the first 48 hours, you're probably not going to catch him. I was like, what?
Exactly.
Oh my God! If it's like, um, if anybody, your boss, ever said, hey, could you take care of that problem? Well, if I can't figure it out in 20 minutes, it's probably never going to get solved.
Right.
48 hours, and like, okay, you mean that's the extent of it? People's memories and stuff like that. Someone was murdered. You figure that would be indelible, unless you're like someone like Genghis Khan, and so you see so many people get murdered in front of you that, like, oh well,
Right.
I don't remember that murder. Down 48 hours. You need you, you can't. I mean, I can remember night last week. I
Mhm.
remember. I remember exactly when the woman gave me chicken broth. She says, "I'll get you something to eat." She brought me chicken broth, and I'm like, "Well, that's. I'm sorry, I'm thinking in my head, but I didn't say it. I said, "Oh, thank you very much." Chicken broth is not food. You know,
Right.
no, I don't get it. It doesn't. I'm looking at the calorie thing. Maybe there were some calories in it, some salt or something like that. That was the first thing I ate after. That's what they said I ate, and I go, "That's not food." You know, maybe some ramen noodle. It's funny. Um, but oh, Steve, you work in the insurance business, not
Securities.
securities, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Investments. Yeah.
Would you say your people are more conservative or moderate or in the middle, or progressive?
Mm, well, yeah, probably moderate to conservative.
Okay. Well, I brought up one of Sky's teachers.
Hmm.
Um, they mentioned about the thing that went on Wednesday when those yahoos uh,
Yeah.
rampaged the Capitol, and she said in the classroom it probably was Antifa, right?
Oh God, come
I go, oh my God, there's someone in false news, and I told Sky, and then I mentioned Sky, you ever hear of the 5 stages of grief?
on. Right.
Have you know the 5 stages of grief?
Yeah.
It's
Sure. Denial.
denial is one, anger,
Yeah.
bargaining,
Mhm.
depression, and acceptance. And
Right.
I think she was at number three, like bargaining. Yeah, he may have
Right.
done. Yeah, he did incite it, but they probably the people that did the worst thing were probably Antifa in there, and that's the bargaining part. It sounds like
Yeah.
denial. It sounds like denial, but denial was the day he lost, and they go, no, he couldn't have lost. Everyone I know has a Trump sticker or a Trump flag or a Trump hat, and that's what they gauge it
Right.
off. And the president said he won by a landslide. You
Right.
know, so but she said that shit, and I just said, and so I went on this whole thing. I said she just can't. Her whole belief system kind of folded in on itself. And so I put the 5 stages of grief. I posted on Facebook after I did that. I wrote a note to Sky. I said, Sky, if your teacher says anything, to say she's at number three or number one, denial or bargaining. So, and she should
Yeah.
be move along to depression
Exactly.
and acceptance.
And accept.
You know, it just sounds
Yeah.
like she could be in depression. Oh, most likely it was Antifa. And so they're depressed that the
Oh,
person they
God,
followed
come on.
was a complete asshole. So I posted it, and some local guy who I think I met, but he started getting really personal.
Yeah.
I said, I'm talking about the 5 stages of grief, and I did mention this thing, but he took it personal, right?
Oh no.
And I said, "Why
Yeah.
aren't you supposed to be on Parlor already? On that, shouldn't you
Exactly.
go to Parlor for people to?" And he goes, "Well," and then he goes off. You're a bartender, and you're coming up with bad psychology. You're just a bartender, and you're coming up with bad psychology and stuff like that. I'm looking at the guy, and I think he may be like a contractor or something like that. Like, who the fuck are you
Mhm.
talking to me?
Right.
Like, I go, Who the fuck are you? And you got all your you already proved you're kind of an idiot because you bought all the propaganda that they've been shoveling shit down your throat, and then he kind of really kind of abandoned you today. Was it today when he had the or yesterday when he had that new? When he says, It's gonna be a smooth transition. I'll be a good boy and all that stuff. He did, I'll be a good boy speech because they were saying, listen, if you don't do this right now, there's a good possibility that you're gonna be forced out.
Exactly.
You know, and then there was a screaming fight, and finally people said, that's enough, no more.
Right.
And even Giuliani, they're telling Giuliani and Don Jr., you don't hear any shit from them anymore. They're done. They're going to say, you're a good chance you're going to be. I mean, I don't know if they could pardon you for that. If the investigation didn't even begin.
Twitter just
what?
Twitter just permanently banned Trump just now in like the last hour. Like he's off Twitter. So.
Yeah, he has a 12-hour suspension, and then they brought him back, and he lasted another day. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so yeah, they have video of them like right before the rally, and they're like the Kim Guilfoyle or whatever, the John Jr.'s, she's dancing, and they're like all excited. They're all excited going out there. We're going to use all this rhetoric, this very violent rhetoric, but we don't mean it that way. Because, you know, the people that worship guns and rifles and all that stuff, they're not violent. And our people, it was a peaceful prophet. Our people are peaceful. Yeah, you believe in guns and you're very peaceful people. Yes. There's the Amish and there's the white supremacist KKK, the New Confederacy, Proud Boys. They're all peaceful, you know.
So yeah.
Yeah, and Antifa's so smart that they came in there and started doing. So I'm saying this guy's going back and forth, and I'm like, oh Christ, how long do I have to deal with this guy? I go back and forth, and then I go and get a post of his where he said something. And he says I find a post from 2016 where he said the complete opposite.
You did?
Yeah. He says, well, what's about being a good sport and all that stuff? And I came out and said, well, this is what you said the week after the last presidential election. And it's exactly what you're telling me that I'm doing, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So, and then he says, and he mentioned something about a poor woman being killed. You know, who was breaking in, who was a QAnon.
Geez.
And I said, well, she was trespassing and stuff like that. And and I said, you could say all this stuff. A Capitol police officer died. You know?
Exactly.
He was beaten with a fire extinguisher.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's weird. They're gonna. Supposedly they didn't have enough people they didn't have the right kind of people and didn't have enough people, the right kind of security for that group of people.
Right.
And they definitely didn't try to take them. They could have started arresting them and taking them in if they were terrified or something like that, or for some reason they were allowed to walk away. And now they got to look for them. But maybe it's easier to find them. Maybe it's easier to find them. They say, listen, it's easier to arrest them separately. We'll just get the other municipalities because they're all spread out instead of trying to arrest them with those thousands of supporters around them. So
they're already
Yeah, they got the guy that had his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk.
Yeah.
They're going to get the guy with the horns. Who?
Yep.
Do you know? You know, but what did it was the Sons of Liberty who did the Boston Tea Party.
What's that?
The Sons of Liberty in Boston.
Yeah.
When they dumped the tea in the harbor, a lot of them were dressed like Indians. Yeah. And I bet they were like lame-ass Indians. Right. It was kind of like the lame-ass Indians you see in those 1950s TV westerns where they got, put orange. I mean, remember the shitty orange makeup or the red makeup they put on the white people?
Right.
And they never, I mean, when the Indians didn't have their casinos or anything back then, they could at least give them a fucking job. But they gave them, they were living poor on their reservations and shit like that. And there were no casinos. very little oil and mineral rights and shit like that. So, and you still
Mm-hmm.
can't get them a job. You got to get fucking, put Forrest, whatever. I was going to say Forrest Kelly, or just name some B-list actor and put him in red makeup, and he's an
Right.
Indian. Yeah, and either the
Yeah.
obligatory leather vest, always a leather vest.
Yeah.
I think they
With
probably
feather.
had feather, a necklace, it's just some of those leather pants with the tassels on it, and there was probably 30 different. There were so many different tribes in the United States, right? But they all wore the same three outfits.
Yeah.
They all looked the same. I didn't know how they got to there, stuff like that. But this guy, I'm just thinking the whole time, how much time am I going to spend arguing with this guy? He just seemed all fired up.
Right.
Like I don't know, man. Some of these people look like they may be crystal meth users. I think if they had a reliable poll on crystal meth users, I wouldn't be surprised if they swing heavily towards Trump,
Oh, sure.
because that's the kind of sentimentality someone in crystal meth might have.
Right. Detached from reality.
Detached from reality, yeah, it'd be perfect. Say, this is the guy after my own heart. Just go and do that. So,
Right.
but this guy, I'm thinking, oh man, this guy can go all fucking day. I bet this guy. And I said,
Yeah.
I'm just not. And if I stop, he's going to go. So you don't have anything to say, do you? So what I said was, that's what I posted. I said, you could do all day. You could do this all day, can't you? And I said, well, I got other things I got to do, and you know what I'm going to do with this for you? I'm going to accede that I am an ass. And then I put period, period, period. See how easy that was?
Right.
I conceded that. I told him.
Yeah.
How hard is it to concede? I conceded. It's the truth. I'm an ass. Right? No problem.
Right.
Whatsoever. I said,
What did you say?
why did it take? No, I just, and then at that point, I turned him off.
Oh, okay.
I let him, I just said, his thing. I told him, like, they called me an ass. And he called me stupid. He called me an ass. Said I was just a bartender. I said, you know what? I am an ass. And then turned off his blocked him, and say, okay, you're done. Just let
Right.
it go. He doesn't even barely know me. He's a little guy around here. And I guess if
You
I
know
saw
who it
him,
is?
yeah,
You know who it is?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I don't know. They get very violent when they're on Facebook, but in a real person, I've never seen anybody do anything like that.
Right.
I've never seen anybody get angry. And actually, I mean, they do end up shooting up the place and stuff like that. But most of them, they don't do shit.
Right.
Then anybody that talks big on that stuff, I never. Talking big on the internet is kind of ridiculous. I'll try to speak. I'll try to be smart about my argument.
Right.
I try to be entertaining. And whenever anybody came on, well, what pissed them off first, I go, I'm pretty sure that you're in stage 2 right now. And then he went on and goes like this, and he said something, and I go like this. I said, my mistake, stage 1.
Still stage 1.
Yeah, you're back to stage 1. So, and mainly when I was looking up, it was in relationships.
Uh-huh.
You always see it about death. You always think about death, but it's grief of all kinds. It's your favorite team
Right.
losing. It's your favorite team losing.
Right. Yeah.
After COVID, stuff like that, I spent maybe a couple days mulling over how bad the Eagles were this year.
Yeah.
But that's it. I moved from
Right.
I never went to denial. I go, pretty much, yeah, they suck. I wasn't anger. I don't have anger, but I went to bargaining, slightly depressed, and then I zipped right through depressed to acceptance. Oh, they're shitty this year. This is it.
Yeah.
They're done. They're done. They're done this year, you know?
Right.
And then I
Yep.
accepted it. It was so easy. Acceptance is so freeing.
It is.
You know, in a relationship, oh my God. Did you ever have, do you recall? I'm going to tell you one, and you get, I told you the one about the girl right before I was going to go and visit her. And if you're an avid
Yeah.
listener, you heard it a bunch of times. The day before, I went to see her. I was going up back. I was down here in Florida. It was a year I had moved here. I was going to go. I was only a couple months sober, right? I was
Hmm.
going to go up to Philadelphia. She lived in Philadelphia. Visit my dad in Delaware, and
Hmm.
then see her. The day before we're talking, and she sounded real tentative, and her voice she sounded all different. And I talked to her like a day before that. Everything was fine. Everything was fine. And then the day before, everything's changed. I said, "What's going on?" I had that feeling. It's
Yeah.
like, man, it was like, oh, it sounds like, did you get back together with your old boyfriend who was married or something like that, and his wife was sick? And
Yeah.
she was a Buddhist. She was a Buddhist, right? She told me that, and I go, oh, and then I moved through that so quick.
Yeah. Boom,
I
boom,
mean, in
boom.
denial, I went like this, and then it was like seconds. I'm going, are you kidding me? I said, well, I still got to go up. I bought the tickets. I told me I was going to see my friends and stuff like that. I go, well, you could have told me before. And I think what must have been sitting in the back of my mind, there must have been like a suppressed feeling of freedom, you know?
Yeah. Sure.
Because I
Hmm.
just went, and there was no bargaining. I didn't ask for it. I didn't say, I didn't say anything. Kind of made sense. I said, I'm not going to go, I'm not going to be competitive in a long distance relationship where the guy's
Yeah.
there, So I didn't get the depressions. And I like went from, skipped 1 through 4 and went right to 5. I said, oh,
That's good.
maybe we'll have lunch together and stuff like that. And I did. And you know what? I don't think it would have been the same in a real relationship, though. Someone I really, you know, because
Right.
I don't remember almost any of them not being. Well, my ex-wife that happened.
Hmm.
Once that happened, it was, I went to acceptance right away.
Hmm.
But there were other women in my life where I wouldn't. I didn't. I denied. I was angry, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance.
Right.
And it does work for that. It works. I mean, um, I just, I, I did it, especially when I was younger, you know. But
Right.
mainly I had it.
Yep.
It was my fault. How about you?
Yeah, I suppose a couple times.
Was it ever a time that it was really devastating?
Um, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get that. You know, maybe with my current, it would be,
Yeah.
but
How,
this is the longest relationship I've ever been in. So yeah, that
how
would
long is
probably be
it?
mine.
How long has it been?
We've been together for about 11 years.
11 years.
Yeah, 11, 10 to 11. We're going on our 11th. Yeah, so
Okay. Yeah, we're going on our
oh
12th year. We've been together 12 years. So this is the longest relationship I've been in.
yeah,
I mean, it's by far. It's Christ. What do we got? I got 4 years on my marriage and the whole thing.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So, but I just
That's
recall
good.
those. I recall that I don't remember exactly what happened. I remember I never denial. I guess in your head, when it was denial, you think, well, it's not really over. She's just feeling that way right now. Denial lasts
Right.
for a short time,
Right.
and anger would last only a little while too. But the bargaining,
Right.
that when you're bargaining in between, if I do this, I could do that. We can get together, or something like that. This is the way, and you're
Right.
thinking all that stuff, And then the depression part lasts for a long time, you know?
Right.
And then once you accepted it, I mean, as I got older, I think was it when I was sober? I don't remember. But yeah, I don't know. As I got a certain age in my 40s and stuff like that, and this is when it happened with when I got together with Abby. I didn't really worry about. I wasn't as possessive as I was before and stuff like that.
That's true. Yeah, it gets easier as you get older. I think. Yeah,
so
for
calm
sure.
down. So
Calm down.
And this guy had said to me, or the guy that I blocked on Facebook, he said, "You know, you're just mirroring those things." I said, "Of course I'm mirroring those things. I went through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I always went through that same. Everyone goes through it. You're just not aware. I mean, they're just not self-aware of themselves.
Right.
They don't want to admit it because once you admit it, that means there's something unless Jesus controls it, they don't want to hear it or something like that, or you're too weak, something like that. So you can see all those,
right.
Whatever. Well, I like that. Do you have anything you want to plug right now? You're the owner of the Key Largo Comics. So I haven't seen a lot of your posts recently.
I have not been too active with social media lately. I'm still, doing a lot of buying and selling though.
Yeah.
But I think maybe during football season, I kind of slow down on that stuff a little bit. But now I'll probably be, upticking with that a little bit, getting back on YouTube and stuff. So, but still buying and selling on eBay as usual. So just check it out if you want. Key Largo Comics. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Key Largo Comics. It's a good place to get your rare or special comics.
Right? Exactly.
So
that's correct.
And I'd like to thank everyone for listening. I'd like to thank Steve for being here. Hey, I didn't ask, how's Lizzie doing?
She's doing great.
Yeah?
She's awesome. Yeah. Working at the gym mostly. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please share it with your friends. Drop a review for us. If you have any questions, call. You can call. I should have gave everyone the number. We were doing this on Skype. They could have just called right in. But the number's 407-392-4563. I'll spend another minute or so if there's anybody listening. I don't know. We are totally separated. Should be separated from 43 Keys Media. So hopefully we're getting through. If you want to send me an email, it's at jim@keysbartender.com. Remember, we're available on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn. What do you listen to on the show on, Steve?
I have the what is the old one that you started with first?
Spreaker. I am on Spreaker. I don't say Spreaker because it's not huge, but it's pretty big around, I guess. But no, it's not. It's no Spotify or anything like that. But we're all on those. So listen to it on any of them. Send us a question. I'll have Steve back when he's available next time. Yep. Okay. We'll try to do this. Papa Joe moved away. Steve.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but it doesn't really matter then. Yeah, Papa Joe. Your Papa Joe was on the show?
Oh, yeah. Really moved.
Yeah.
Where did he move to?
Sarasota area. So.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we'll be back. I'd like to thank you for listening. I jetted off before without playing the music, but I'm going to play it right now. Okay, Steve. I'll talk to you later.
All right, Jim. Take it easy.
Bye.